Hello Lightworkers, I'm here back in England and getting some grounding here with Mother Earth. You can see just behind me, doing what she does naturally, earthing after such a long journey. And I wanted to continue this Lightworker series which I started on my travels. I've been working with throughout my entire journey actually. And this particular video I wanted to be speaking about commitment and focus. These are almost alien words for those of us who are more empathic, connected, come from these other star systems, come from these other dimensions. Find it difficult to be here on planet Earth, which is something I want to speak about here as well. And one of the themes that we have to learn on this path, if we are ever to break free of the very seductive, dense energy of scarcity, poverty, survival energy, is to commit. Commit to our path is number one. Committing to your path, your purpose, your mission for being here. This may feel like you already do, but in many ways we can sabotage this and actually create a lot of distraction around this, which I'll be exploring in this video. And also focusing. For those of you who are very, very creative, you'll have a million ideas. And you could think of a million ideas just even by the end of this video. And you'll feel like you can carry them all out. Yet, as mentioned in a previous video, this is also related to self-sabotage. So the key as a light worker is very connected, very open, and very open to the imagination that is available, is to learn how to focus, learn how to commit to your path, and learn how to shed what is unnecessary. Now, this is easier said than done because there's a lot of inbuilt programming related to carrying out a lot of creative ideas and exploring them. And this is very connected to the self-sabotage theme, because self-sabotage comes in throughout this process. And this is what we're clearing on this lower density level. The self-sabotage that we create in many varieties that prevent us from doing our work, that prevent us from expressing, that prevent you from being the fullness of who you are. And so in order to ground your visions into reality, in order to manifest them on a very physical level, there has to be a balance of practicality, and there has to be a balance of that connection with the earth practicality. And so there's a lot of ideas and theories out there in modern spirituality which can actually take us away from this natural balance. And this is where we tend to believe that everything will come to us magically, everything will just arrive to us if we have the right alignment or vibration. And we forget the very concept that we have to act. This is why throughout these video series I talk a lot about action, because for many of us we've also polarized to a distorted feminine principle of extreme spiritual passivity and extreme expectation that the universe will literally take care of us, where we deny our inherent innate power. So how can you commit? If you feel that commitment brings up a sense of feeling trapped, this is very common for those who feel free-spirited, to feel trapped by an idea or having to commit to something in 3 months, 6 months, let alone a year. The idea that there may have to be some kind of routine, and this seems boring, and we don't want anything boring, we want to be joyful. All of these ideas can be very ungrounded, and what we actually create is more and more suffering, more and more lack, more and more poverty, more and more distance between ourselves and the passion that we actually want to thrive within. You see, all manifested creations take hard work, and we need to get comfortable with this term again, the phrase hard work, because we've also come into this idea that everything's going to be really easy and given to us. And in many cases, this isn't just our work, this is also in our relationships. We can expect things to come to us rather than actually actively opening up, actively going out and expressing, actively moving in our reality and creating. And this is where commitment comes in, because commitment isn't to say that you know exactly where you need to be in 6 months' time, but it's to commit to a certain process that then allows this to ground, because without that commitment, we actually lose focus and we actually give things up. So if this is speaking to you on some level where you start things and give it up or do not complete things, I know this very well, this is where we keep sabotaging our creation process, sabotaging our process, and sabotaging our progress in any given area. And one of the best examples is simply learning a musical instrument, for example, without committing to learning through that boring phase, that really annoying phase where it's just very repetitive. We're not really getting anything at the beginning. Unless we push through that, move through that, we don't get the rewards. And this is where the paradox comes in, because it's not to say that life is about suffering or struggle, but it is present. And it's not ignoring it and trying to navigate away from it. We acknowledge that it's there, and we acknowledge that it's also there to teach us something. There is a process through the struggle. And it's similar to that idea around the butterfly emerging from a cocoon. And whether this story is true or not, I'm not actually familiar, but it's a great story anyway, and it really shows us about the idea of struggle. There is this story of scientists actually helping a butterfly out of a cocoon to help it out, to see what would happen as soon as it started wriggling free. And what happened was that the butterfly wasn't able to use its wings, because without the struggle of it breaking free itself, it wasn't actually able to strengthen itself and flex itself at the beginning, and wasn't able to even, develop that the nuances in the muscles to actually move and start to fly initially. And so it shows that there's always a purpose to our struggles, which we know obviously from the struggles that we go through. There's a purpose to your struggles that you discover. This is very similar in light work. We need to be comfortable again with the idea of hard work, because hard work means that we're going to be doing things that we don't particularly want to do. Administrative work, we're going to be needing to push ourselves outside of our comfort zone, which isn't enjoyable. It's uncomfortable. That's the whole process of it. You're moving out of your comfort zone. Yet without those things, we don't expand. And it's only once we move through those things can we benefit from the rewards, reap from the rewards of the work that you've done. The key here, however, is not to get caught up in that struggle, in that suffering energy. And this is more of the sabotage, where we keep ourselves hidden by creating more administrative work for ourselves, creating more suffering around ourselves, believing that work is about suffering. It's just understanding the balance in the process. So we will pendulum swing between these areas. And if you find yourself experiencing lack in any way for an extended period of time and not moving and sabotaging your growth process and feeling you're stuck, this is highly likely to do with a belief system that the way related to the way that you're living, defining how you should be living, defining how you relate to your reality. And this is what I always say to question. Question every element of your reality. Question your belief systems. Question what you're experiencing. Question if you're taking it on from those around you. Question all of it. And as you do this, you're going to discover more and more areas of your life where you're able to expand into and discover more and more your potential. And this is where the focus and the commitment comes in. It's beginning to look at all the different multitude of areas that you could be doing work in. Let's say you have 10. Some of us have 20, 30. It may even be 5. It's still many streams that may not be necessary for you right now. It's finding the one stream that is most relevant and still working with additional streams of income, additional streams of work, but recognizing that your energy needs to now focus into specific areas. And I'll give you an example here. You may have this around healing. You do healing work, you do psychic work, you do teaching, you do retreats, you do workshops, you do talks. And this is all could be grouped together around one theme. But when we have many, many themes, such as you're working to help people with in self-growth area, you're doing shamanic work, you're also a crystal ball healer, you're also an artist, you're also teaching people how to sing. And I'm using lots of examples here. It's not to say that we can't do this, yet what we'll do is dilute our energy stream. There's only so much that you can handle delivering. And so all of them get diluted and all of them become these streams that are not given the fullness of our energy. That is met by our reality. People in our reality actually feel that our full presence isn't actually in that area, because they want to feel your full presence. They want to feel you in that area, the passion of who you are in that area. And this is where it's important to recognize that as you complete things as you give it your energy and see it on its way through. This is not all the way through to the rest of your life, but allow it the time, what it needs to at least flourish. All things, when given the commitment of our energy, end up flourishing if we give it enough time. And I know this from my own experience when I was working with the meetup, setting up the London Spirituality Meetup group. We started with no one, just myself, and ended up having, at the moment we've got nearly 15,000 members. How is this able to generate and attract so many people? And for me, it was actually very simple. I just committed no matter what throughout the entire process. This is why things succeed or do not. From my point of view, it's just a commitment to something, regardless of the seeming failures, regardless of whatever happens, always finding a solution through it. The paradox here is that we may also feel that this may be a sign that we're not meant to be doing this work. That's why it's not flowing. You see, we're given many different theories which contradict and keep us very confused. Surely if it's meant to be flowing, that's where I'm meant to be going. Surely if it's attracting synchronicity and magnetizing things towards me, that's my path. Surely it should be coming towards me in this area. This is where we need to really be aware of the over-spiritualization of our life. And I would really recommend is go human. You know, this is the time where you need to go human and balance this. We're living at a time where there's an extreme polarization to spiritual beliefs, which we're calling spiritual beliefs, but there's still ideas around what it means to be spiritual. And then on the other side, we've got a lot of people working at a very human level outside of that belief system. And yet people are able to generate and create successful enterprises, businesses, organizations, practices, and they don't have any spiritual belief systems. So it's looking at this and recognizing that the universe is not saying one is right, one is not right. It's saying there's many elements which can work, taking them, just observing your reality and seeing what people do when working on a very human level of how they create. Again, we don't need to go into the very distorted masculine, which is trying all the time and pushing ourselves out there, something I'll speak about in another video. It's related to the commitment, the practicality, the groundedness, all the areas we find very difficult, especially if we're connected on the higher chakras up. You know, the lower 3 chakras, and even lower, I would say, connecting to the lower dimensions, the first, second, third of the earth. And working with these dimensions and recognizing they're sacred, working with all of these elements and recognizing that we're here. We've agreed to be here. We need to catch up with that truth. We can keep fighting that and wanting to escape and wanting to be free continuously. But for many, this creates a great deal of suffering, a great deal of lack in many areas. So it's taking your life by the reins, and taking charge of it and tapping into your power and starting to actively making a difference in your life, starting to actively take control of it. No one is going to do this for you. Only you will be able to do this. So you have to be able to take hold of your life and start to make real changes. And these real changes are difficult because they will challenge your belief systems. You may feel like you want to do it right now, and then tomorrow you'll feel like, no, I don't want it. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right for me to move in this direction. This is a great saboteur energy that comes in, telling us, combating us from actually making progress. And then we go back to square one. And if this keeps happening to you, watch that energy when it says it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right for me to go in this direction or create in this way. Ask yourself, what is it that you really want? What is your goal? You know, do you want an abundant life? At this very basic level, every human being should have this. Do you want a business, a practice that is successful? Again, everyone should have this. So how do you get there? And what is working for other people? It's all around us. All of the answers are around us. What is working for other people? Now, there's many examples of how to work with this. It's allowing yourself, using yourself as the barometer, because we're always shown through what we're experiencing and the shadow of what we're being triggered by and the shadow of what we're being attracted to. See, that's our unique equilibrium. That's your unique equilibrium. So it doesn't mean that we need to follow a celebrity out there who's working that way, or a celebrity spiritual speaker even who's working in a particular way. That may not work for you. It's about finding what is happening in your reality and using that as a formula to work through the mirror system of what do I need right now? How can I expand myself? How can I step more into my reality? How can I move through fearlessly? Have I become more succumbing to fear in my reality? How can I break through and use that courage now that's that's been waiting to be accessed? How can I tap into that power? And everyone has power, everyone has courage, everyone has the same amount going inside of them. It's just to do with the idea, whether that's there or not. An idea of telling ourselves who we are over time. So as again, I'm moving through a lot of different themes because they're all interconnected as we're working through this particular idea. Yet when we're working with commitment and we're working with focus, we're working with the idea of grounding essentially. You're working with grounding that higher force down into the earth, down across this plane on a lateral level. And you're working to start to understand what it means to plan. So this is about the balance. Those who haven't planned in their life or are very resistant to planning, very resistant to committing to things, to ideas, to doing your work in a particular way. Why not challenge yourself to bring this in? And if you've already been a very committed person, you know, very earthy, grounded person, very practical, then this is more about connecting on a very intuitive level. You know, starting to open up to the mystery, the magic of life, and starting to trust more, starting to be more receptive more. So I hope this video helps in some way to encourage you to commit, encourage you to focus. There's some exercises to do around focusing, and one of the things that I would suggest is to write down all of the ideas that you have on separate pieces of paper, and write down all of the things that you are doing, all of the elements that you are good at or other people have told you you're good at. You know, be honest about this. This is not about playing it small. And then starting to rearrange them, seeing what is it that you can do right now with all the resources that you have, and starting from there, and start to make concentric circles. And then if you can, starting to shed all of the ideas which are taking your energy away. All of the streams that you may have started, you may have had 5 different websites going on, lots of different ideas. If you want to make something successful, which one would it be? Prioritize. And the other one goes second. And I would recommend not having more than 2, if they're different enough. So starting with these 2, and especially starting with the one and starting to cultivate that energy towards that focus of that area, you will find many situations where the saboteur energy will come in to prevent you from doing this. Very similar to affirmations, very similar to other processes that require routine. We have the saboteur energy coming in that prevents us from moving forward. This is where we need to move forward even more. We have to find that energy to move forward courageously and to break these patterns, otherwise we will not break out of them. So we have to have this almost sense of despair in a way. That's not a bad thing. Despair actually instigates fundamental change, as we see in the world. Chaos creates that. So we have to remember that this is actually sacred, my life. What can I create from this moment? Am I going to carry on living in this particular situation? Am I going to make a change? Am I going to make a change right now in my life?